Good morning, lovely people all around the world. How are you today? I hope you're well. I love this time of year. Today I'm going to start finalising my plan for the 2019 kitchen garden. Yay! What better to do on a chilly grey day? I've had to bring myself right over here near the window just to get some light. Desperately trying to grab some light because the days are so dark and grey at the moment. But never mind. The great thing is with the garden this year, it's looking after itself. As I was saying in one of my previous videos, in previous years, this time of year has been the time of year for me to get on with sort of building projects, that sort of thing. And I don't have any to do. So I'm literally with the garden at the moment, all I'm doing is popping down there to harvest 2-3 times a week. Excuse me a sec. So it's the perfect time to start planning what I want to do. So first of all, I'm going to show you the plan. Then I'm going to go through my seeds with you and then talk a little bit about the seed companies. So I say plan. I do make, it's going to look pretty scrappy to you guys, I'm sure, but I do make quite a thorough plan in terms of my sowing times, my planting out times. I have a lot of that in my head anyway, but I do make a little calendar for myself because, you know, life is hectic. We're all in the same boat, aren't we? Things happen, we get distracted, So I do at this stage of the year like to make myself a little sewing timetable, as it were, just so that I don't forget something. So as I go through this process today, especially when I'm sorting out the seeds, it's quite a good sort of jog of my mind. Right, I need to write that down. Plus at this stage, when I go through all the seeds, I can see where I might have gaps, as in, oh, do I need to buy some seed? Or, as I think the case will be this year, where I've been given so many different seeds by you lovely people, where can I put that in? Shall I leave something out this year and have that instead? Anyway, so I would say if you are brand new to your plot, or even if you got it sometime last year, do measure it out, do your plan to scale if that's how your mind works. I know there's lots of different computer programs. They're probably not called computer programs anymore, are they? They're probably called apps. I know there's all sorts of things you can get online to help you plan your garden. I don't bother. I don't draw to scale. I have a vague idea how big my garden is, but the main thing is, just from the experience of having worked it for a couple of years, I know how much I can fit in where. So, the plan for this year. Okay, you need to picture my plot for a second. I've got those 4 main beds, which are now obviously divided into 5 little mini perma beds now. I always talk about bed number 1 as being the one furthest away from my shed, the one nearest that central path that we all come in on, where my little sign is. So at the moment, that's the bed with all my brassicas and bits and pieces in. Bed number 4 is the one right next to the herb bed and the cold frame. So because I've got those 4 big beds, I can work a 4-year rotation. And all it means, I know people get really bogged down in rotation. Excuse me. And whilst it's true that some things follow other things better than others, please don't get too bogged down in it. Please don't worry. The main thing is, for a lot of crops, I mean, some crops are happy to stay in the same place year after year. Not many. The main thing is to just move them each year. And the whole idea of rotating like that is so that it doesn't give disease and pests a chance to build up in the soil. So if a disease or a pest relies on a plant to thrive, if you remove that plant, it's got nothing to live on thrive on. And if you remove that plant for 4 years, then hopefully by the time you come back to use that space for a plant, any bit of disease or pest will have gone. That's the idea behind rotation. So for me, everything quite simply, I wonder if you're going to be able to see this, maybe I've done it too big for the camera. Everything quite simply is going to hop a bed. So I'll start with this one. So this is bed number 1. So this is where I've currently got all the brassicas. So if you picture it, that's where my little sign is on the end. Oh no, sorry, I'm upside down. Sorry, there we go. That's where my sign is on the end there, and where I have my little few flowers along here. So that's the central, the main path. So, copying what I did last year, so I'm going to have these 2 beds with tomatoes, and in each of these beds I'll get 2 rows. So that's going to be 4 rows of tomatoes. Now, anyone watching last year, again, will remember I had an absolute nightmare with my tomatoes because I bought hinky compost and nothing germinated. So I sowed again. By the time things germinated, they were really, really behind, so my friends rescued me. So I had all sorts of tomatoes going on. But this year I'm going to bring it back to just, so I'll probably do 2, possibly even 3 rows of Gardener's Delight, just because they're such a great all-round tomato for me. They work great as a salad tomato, great raw. They bottle really well. They're quite a high acid tomato, so they bottle really well. They're just easy peasy and prolific. So then for the 4th row, either half of the 3rd row and the 4th row, or just the 4th row, I'm going to do my Rose de Berne, which were the ones I brought back from France. Summer of 2017, had my first crop last year. And then on the end, I'm just going to do a few of the miniature the Pois Rouge, the little red pear. Again, they were really prolific. A little bit small and fiddly for bottling, but they were gorgeous and prolific. So yeah, the 4 rows of tomatoes. Now this is where I was worried about having my 5 mini perma beds instead of where I used to, basically, where these 2 beds are, that would have been one much bigger bed. There would have been no path here. However, what I'm thinking is if I sow towards the edges of the beds, I'll still have the same sort of space as I had last year. So this will be my horizontal squash. The Carnival, which I grew for the first time last year, I really, really enjoyed them, but they were a clumping form. So I put them in the cathedral bed to climb. They didn't climb, they made these massive, massive mounds. So what I'm thinking this year is I'm going to put them in the horizontal bed. Just a couple of plants. Whoops, that should do me. Actually, let me just fold that. I'm craning and straining. Yeah, so a couple of them here. And then once they get going, I don't even, when I've had this sort of big single bed, I don't even step on the bed. So I thought, well, if these 2 take over the path, it won't matter. Just let them sprawl and spread. So probably butternuts on the ground and the 2 Carnival. However, this is when I start to go through my seeds, and this is when it will all become clear to me, hopefully to you. It may be that I choose something else to go on the ground and put some butternuts to climb. Then, as always, just at the front, my cukes and my peppers. Then, next bed over is going to be the cathedral bed again, because it worked so well. I learnt some things. Obviously, like I said, the Carnival did not climb, so it just goes to show that you need to know whether something's going to sprawl, therefore you can get it to climb, or whether it's going to form a clump. But all the other squash I grow are sprawlers, so they can, in theory, go up. So again, last year when I did the cathedral bed, I had 1, 2, 3. So one either side, so it was 6 TPs, and then at the front I had the broad beans. So I've had to shrink these beds a little bit to get the 5th bed in. So I'm going to do the same thing again this year. I'm going to have my TPs, we'll sort out which varieties are going to go up which TP, and then underplanting, I'll get more in this year because, you know, last year I had the path down through the middle because I couldn't get in from the sides. I'm going to do the beans just on the ends of each beds, the ones that are going to go up and over the path, the archways. So I've gained a little bit more space in each bed too. So I'm going to once again do some chard, spinach and lettuce to underplant. I'm going to try to be better this year at doing successional sowing. I was a bit naughty about it last year. I think partly because this bed took me so long to get ready. In the end, I just chucked everything in. And it was such a tricky year. It was one of those like, oh, just chuck it in and just water. The great thing is this year, because this is essentially, I've given myself another little bed this year. So I'm going to have peas again this year. I didn't do any last year because, well, for the space they take up, I never get a huge amount. I always end up with mildew in my peas. As on the whole, they tend to be disappointing. However, I missed having peas last year. That gorgeous first mouthful of beautiful green popping sweet jewels in the mouth. Oh, delicious. And I missed having my pea pod soup because that's scrummy too. Also, when I have had peas in the past, no matter how little I get out of them, I always save one portion in the freezer to have at some point in the winter. Peas, mash and sausages. Oh, I love it. So it was a conscious decision not to do them last year because of space, but because I've given myself this little bit of extra space, I'm so having peas again. But what I'm going to do this year is, rather than do them sort of as I've done them in the past in along rows, I'm just going to do a load of little mini TPs in this bed to get them up, and then I can underplant the whole thing with probably calendula. I'm finding I'm making more and more calendula balm for friends these days, so this year one of the things I'll be looking to do is bunging calendula in as many extra spaces as I possibly can, just because, well, the balm has gone down a treat with friends and family, so I'd like to be able to produce even more for them. And then finally at the bottom there are the broad beans, which are currently in, and they'll be followed by the cocos. Just to say as well, where the peas are, I have found that, by August, I'm pulling the peas out. Like I said, they always get mildew for me. But because I'm pulling them out in August, I then thought, that's going to be an extra bit of space then amongst the calendula for me to put in some more brassicas. So I always start my brassicas off about March, April. I thin them out, I prick them out, pop them on, and then they just sit in their little modules in the cold frame for a few months until I start to empty space in the summer, and then I start whacking them in whatever spaces I can, usually in where the onions, the red and the white have been. But this year I was thinking, well, yeah, if the peas finish, I'll just have them out and I can whack some more brassicas in, so extra brassicas as well. Yay! So like I was saying with the beans, and it follows on to the next page, I'm going to do the arches above the paths again. It was an absolute total success last year. The arches, not so much. Some of the tops caved a bit, and there was at one point we had a really big storm, and that site is so exposed. My beans always go over. No matter what I do with them, they always go over, but never mind. It was a roaring success in terms of creating space. The harvest itself, not so much. They really didn't like the drought. Doesn't matter. I'm going for it again. But this year what I'll do is I'm just going to put three poles at the end of each bed, three poles, then the arches, and then on the very top of the arches for the whole length I'll sort of brace some poles along the top. So hopefully what that means is I can step in and off the path and get into the beds this way, but they'll have some rigidity by having a lashing down the whole length. I've got so many beans. That's going to be my big sort out, one of my big sort outs. Anyway, rest of the plan, we're nearly there. And like I say, do a plan now, but then things might change, the weather might be horrid and things don't go, and so, for instance, what was it last year that I ended up with? Oh yeah, where the chickpeas didn't germinate, and then all those second sowings of tomatoes I did, I just shoved them in. They weren't in the tomato bed, I just shoved them in the chickpea bed thinking, well, it's better than nothing, isn't it? And lo and behold, they thrived. Yay, they came good. That's because we didn't get blight, so they had the whole of September and into October. Anyway, so into bed number 3, so we're getting nearer and nearer now to the herb bed. We come this way, then there's 4, and this is where the herb bed and the cold frame would be. This one, no change from what I did this year. So parsnips interplanted with the calendula again, and hopefully this year I'll get some to germinate. Then I've got the chickpeas, my rocking cool, which are a bush bean, fennel, my main spuds and my new spuds, and they then get followed with garlic in the autumn. This fennel and rocking cool bed, that will be subject to change. I think I've been sent some other bush bean varieties, so I might do a mixture of rocking core and something else, but I will still do quite a chunk of rocking core because they're such a beautiful bean. They have been really reliable for me, and now I'm into, I think it's either going to be this will be my 4th year of seed from my own saved seed, so that should be a really well acclimatized seed by now. And then the last bed, that's my rose bush. Again, celery, celeriac. This is the north side of the garden. This is south, so all the sun's coming this way. And here will be the flint corn, and hopefully that's enough shade because the celeriac and the celery are both related to bog plants. They want to stay moist. A little bit of shade will be good for them, so top them down under there and hopefully they'll thrive. And then red onions, white onions and carrots, as per this year. The other thing is, I'm not growing leeks this year. If you saw the video, it's just got to the stage where it doesn't matter how much I protect, they just get leaf miner. It's too much work, it's too much effort to then have the heartbreak of the whole crop devastated. So I will have a little think about, maybe there's something I can interplant with the carrots. At the moment, I've got no idea. I'm wondering maybe whether that's some more calendula, that's another bit of calendula space, because I'm thinking if the calendula and parsnips are happy bedfellows, then maybe calendula and carrots would be happy bedfellows too. I'll do a little bit of looking up because I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the plan so far. Oh, and the bit of the deck, a little bit of scrap of paper for the deck. So obviously I've got the perennial kale in right up by the compost bins. And what I'm hoping to get in there, it's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but if I don't try it, I won't know, is my achocha and a loofah. I might try and get 2 loofahs in. Or what I might do is put a couple of big pots on the deck and put another loofah in the pot a little ways along. And then the other possibility I was thinking right in the corner is another big pot, because Renee sent me some seeds for, it's a gourd, can't remember the name, it's in my seed box, for, I think it's called bird's nest. It might just be called simply bird's nest gourd, I don't know. But people grow them to then hollow them out to hang as nesting boxes. I'd really like to try that. Really want to try it. But it's one of those things where if I'm short of space and it's a toss-up between a vegetable and something kind of fun for the birds, then it's gonna have to be me that wins with the veggies. So I'm just reaching over to get my seeds and my catalogues. I don't have my bean seeds with me today. I left half the jars in the shed, and I've got some jars back in the kitchen on the kitchen windowsill because it's nice and cool there. Oh my goodness me, let's have a look through. I'm going to show you this closer, but just to say very quickly first of all, I've had my catalogue from the Organic Gardening catalogue. Been using them for years. Generally been having really good results. I'm totally happy with that. I do feel like I'm moving away from them a bit though, because excuse me, this over the last year, 2 years or so, I've noticed there are more and more seeds for sale in it which aren't organic, and that kind of defeats the purpose for me. I want to be able to look through a catalogue and think, oh, I'd like that, that, that and that. I don't want to have to read the small print and realise it's not organic. And also, I want my money to go to an organisation that is promoting organic gardening. You know, I don't want to be sounding like I'm being radical about it, but I don't see any reason in this day and age why everything isn't organic. But there we go. So the other one, I kept this packet from, this was 2 years ago. That was the first time I got the orange bell peppers from the Real Seed catalogue. So I won't be buying seed from them for the peppers this year because obviously I've saved my own. I kept the seed packet just to remind me where they'd come from. And I checked online the other day, and they're no longer doing a paper catalogue, which on the one hand is great, and I understand it, but I prefer a paper catalogue. I just like to sit with it, and I like to mark my pages. So what it means is when I've gone through all my seeds and I've decided what's missing, what would I like, is I'll just go online, I'll see what they've got to offer, and then the other one, oh no, I've got this the wrong way round, I beg your pardon. I think Real Seeds do have a catalogue, and hopefully it's on its way. It's Stormy Hall Seeds, the seed cooperative, who aren't doing a catalogue. Oh look, it's one or the other, I can't remember. But one or the other of them is not doing a paper catalogue. It's all going to be online. But these people, this is pretty much just about my favourite place to get seeds. Everything is traceable, it's all organic, it's all open pollinated seeds. There's all sorts of, like I say, with the traceability to do with the sort of the biodynamic growing standards, the biodiversity, etc, etc. So I absolutely love. Yes, so catalogues, that will be the last thing I do, because first of all, I need to see what I've got. Do you want to see inside my tin box? My tin box is my seed tins. Yay, come on, let's have a look at all these gorgeous seeds. I tend to keep my veggie seeds in one tin and my flowers and herbs in another. Again, that's because although I love having my flowers and my herbs, they're always low down on the priority list. I have to have my veg first. I've got a feeling though that when I open the box there's going to be all sorts in there because I've been shoving stuff in willy-nilly. I've been given all sorts, so I've pretty much completely forgotten what I've got. There's the, oh yes, well, the light's terrible, isn't it? Can you see? That's the Coco Sophie that Belinda sent to me. So it seems that it's related to the Coco de Paimpol, but it's a climber. So this is what I was saying about the beans. I really love my beans. They're a huge part of my diet. They're probably right up there in the most important veg I grow. I think for me the most important veg I grow are tomatoes, beans and squash. They generally do well for me. They're all really easy to store. They basically feed me through the whole year, so I am going to be finding space for those. That was last year's spare parsnips from Paul and Richard, although they've just sent me some fresh ones from last year's harvest. I was so grateful to receive them last year. And some of them did come up, so I am having little tiddlers out. But the thing with parsnip is you really want to start with fresh seed each year. This is where it then goes bonkers. And I'm really not sure what I've got. So that's the some loofah from, I think Renee sent it to me. I love these MI Gardener seeds. Am I going to have space? So generally, there's some celery. What I do is I go through some carrots, basil. This is the birdhouse gourd I was mentioning. You see it in the light. The light's awful today, isn't it? I'm so sorry. Actually, do you know what? Hang on a tick. I'm going to see if an overhead light will help. I don't know if that's helped at all. Anyway, yes, as I was saying, this is the birdhouse gourd. So, like I say, I'm desperately hoping I can find some space for it. Do you know what? It's a possibility. Maybe if I can't find space on my plot, maybe there's somewhere in one of the more communal spaces in the garden on the whole site that if I speak to the committee first to say, look, I'd like to try and grow this. If it's successful, then I could give gourds to loads of other plot holders and we can all have little birdhouses for next year. We'll see. This is a load of salady stuff my mum sent, but it's mostly F1s and it's not organic. So what I might do is set those aside, offer them to someone else. So, stupid woman, I've got a packet here that's not labelled. That to me looks like it's cucumber. Why have I got a random bit of cucumber on its own? I don't know. There's my cucumber. So it looks to me, what year are we in? Okay, so this was the seed I saved at the end of 2017 and sowed last year. I'm pretty sure I saved some in 2018 for this year. So if I did, I'll find the freshest seed. That was the Carnival. That was from Heather last year. So I think it sounds like, let's have a look, and it looks like, there's tons and tons of seed there. Brilliant. What I'm hoping to do as well is, as I go through all the seeds, look to see if anything's getting close to its sort of use by expiration date. And if I can't use it, get them out to other people. There's no point having seeds in a tin. Plants don't grow in tins. If I can't grow it in my garden, at least let someone else have it and have a go. Oh, that's empty. That's from, was that last year or the year before? I can't remember. Anyway, so you can see I've got a lot of sorting to do. So generally what I'll do is, that was the galette I tried last year. It's like visiting with old friends, isn't it? Because I'm getting all these packets out and remembering when they arrived and who they come from. I think this was also from Heather. It's another squash. This was the galette I tried for the first time last year. You know, the really warty one. And it's got the most beautiful, such a deep, bright orange flesh. It's gorgeous. Sorry, I'm digressing. So normally what I will do, that's more from my mama. That's the original packet from my long green Maracha a couple of years ago, but I saved my own seed now. It occurs to me that my garden is turning more and more French as time goes on. Vert long maraîcher. So what I will do, I keep digressing, don't I? Because I'm getting excited going through my seed box. I will sort all my seeds into categories of, for example, all the squash, tomatoes, peppers and cucumbers. In other words, all those vining plants I'm going to grow in bed number 1 this year. I'll put those all together in one packet. So what I end up with generally, these bigger envelopes that I keep in the tin, they're kind of by type of veg. So obviously that says brassicas. Beginning of April, that's to remind me that I need to sow by the beginning of April. So I'll go through all of these today, sort them into the different types of veggies, the different beds they're going into. I'll look at all the expiration dates, see where I've got excess, where I can share with other folk. And then I'll sit down with my calendar, my piece of paper, and I will do 2 columns, 2 sewing columns. Hang on, let's have you back round here again. That's better, it's much nicer to speak face to face. Yeah, so all I was saying was that on a piece of paper I'll have 2 columns, my indoor sewings and my outdoor sewings. I'll make a little note of when I need to do things. I'll have another scrap of paper where I'm going to jot down any seeds that I would like to purchase, anything that's missing. So I know off the top of my head, for instance, I need to purchase my seed potatoes and my onion sets. So I should be using Kevin's very generous Christmas present to be getting those with. Yeah, so see where there are gaps, make sure I order. Where I've got excess, make sure I share that out so it's not sitting stagnating in the tin. Have my schedule of sewing, and that's pretty much it. You know, this planning it all, I was going to say it's not rocket science. It is fairly straightforward, but I suppose my biggest tip to anyone who's starting out is, firstly, please don't feel overwhelmed and you think, I just don't know where to start. The easiest place to start is to think about what you like to eat and what you want to grow this year. Tomatoes, beans, they're a pretty safe bet. They generally grow quite easily. Once you know what you want to grow, draw a little plan of your garden. I know for some of you, you might be thinking, oh, but how many can I fit into the space? And, you know, can I put 10 in that row or can I only put 5 in that row? Don't worry too much about that. The main thing is you've decided what you want to grow. You've got hold of your seeds somehow or other. Get them started at the appropriate time. If you've got too many seeds or too many little plants or seedlings to fit into that space, do swap seeds. Do swap seeds with your allotment neighbours. If you're gardening on your own at home, maybe you're part of some sort of social network, whether it's sort of a church, a social club, you know, bunches of mums and dads of other kids. Talk to them, swap your plants with them. Don't be overwhelmed, don't be daunted. Make the most of these grey, chilly days. Give yourself an afternoon, a peaceful afternoon. Maybe put a play on the radio or something. Sit down with some scraps of paper, with any seeds you might already have that you've been given. Just get stuck in and enjoy it. Can't wait. I've got so many seeds to go through, it's wonderful. There's loads and loads of empty packets in here, that's the other thing. I do keep hold of empty packets. If it's something new I've tried for the first time, so last year if I tried, it looks like, where is it? Oh, I can't find it now. If it was something new I tried, I'll keep the packet, and then if I liked it, I think, oh, I'll have that again. And then there comes a point where, after a couple of years or so, you don't need the reminder anymore because you know exactly what it is, because you love it. Right. I think I better shut up and get on with going through all these seeds. I honestly thank you so much for all your generosity in the seeds you've sent to me. I've got way more than I need. So it's going to be a bit of a head scratch. Where can I fit things in? And where I can't, perhaps I can use some communal space on my site. If I really can't do that, then I'll just share them out amongst other people and we can all have the joy of growing together. Yay! So, happy planning to all of you. Happy catalogue browsing. Please don't get too excited and start things off now. It's still way too early. There's not enough light. You know, it's not just about the temperature, because obviously indoors we probably all keeping our homes around 18, 19 degrees, which is kind of warm enough for most things to germinate, but there just isn't the light at this time of year. So if you start things now, your poor little babies are going to struggle and struggle and struggle. And they're not going to come to anything. You're going to end up with weak, horrid little plants. It's much better to be patient and wait even into sort of March and April. Go with Mother Nature. Go when these things would be growing for themselves if they were left alone outside. Yay. So, whilst we're all being patient, waiting for the days to get longer and the temperature to get a bit warmer, we can at least play with our catalogues and our seed packets and our bits of paper, and we can at least dream of how the garden is going to be in the middle of summer this year. So, I shall say cheerio to you all for now. Take care. I will see you all again before too long, I hope. In the meantime, have fun whatever you're up to indoors with your seed packets. Bye for now.